Lord Mayor. What I would like to say is thank you to the Mt Gravatt Historical Society. You do the most amazing job in not only preserving the history and looking after the history of Mt Gravatt and our local areas, but in projects like this to make sure that people are educated and remember where we came from as well, which is a very, very important part of our local history. So with those few words, I'd like to say thank you, welcome, and pass the microphone to my boss, Lord Mayor Graham Quirk.
Today we pay homage to those people, part of a government work scheme. The single men at the time, I understand, worked just a few hours a fortnight. For married men with one child at least, it was a case of 1 day a week. And if you happen to have 4 or more children, you got 4 days out of the week working with that pick and shovel to make this road happen. I know we've got some relatives, some descendants of those workers here today, and we thank you for being a part of this ceremony as well. It is a great opportunity to remember what is a very significant part of our history. I guess when you look back at it, the Petty family ought to be acknowledged here today as well. They made that land available back in 1916, which gave the opportunity for this road to pass through to reach the top of the mountain. So it is an important part of the history of Mt Gravatt. The Depression years, I guess many of you here will have your own tales of all of the hardship that occurred at that time. My own parents were out west, and they on many occasions recalled to me the stories of people coming by chopping wood simply for a meal, moving from place to place in search of a few dollars in which to support their families. And it is hard to imagine in today's terms, with the social welfare system that we have, what life would have been like at those times. 30% plus unemployment in our community. But today, a special memory and a special acknowledgement. And Christian, I'm very, very pleased as Lord Mayor of the city to be able to be here to share with the Mt Gravatt Historical Society. You do great work. I've had the opportunity to read the books produced by the Mt Gravatt Historical Society, and I again congratulate you on your initiative in taking this forward to recognising what is, again, an important part of our local story. Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here.
I'd now ask Mr Claire Bolts to come up and say a few words on behalf of the Mt Gravatt Historical Society.
Good morning, friends. It's really delightful to be here, and thank you for your presence. Mt Gravatt is a very special place, particularly for us, and it dates back to the beginning of British history here in Queensland, because John Oxley, when he came with one of the castaways pamphlet, was aware of this mountain, and he recorded it in his log. That was 1823. Well, then along came George Gravatt, whose job it was to return to Sydney whatever convicts and workmen were not required, because Brisbane was to be no longer a prison for convicts, but free country, which began in 1842. So George Gravatt came this way, and also Alan Cunningham, who discovered the Darling Downs. So we've had some very important people in connection. And the first surveyor, Robert Dixon, named this mountain in honour of George Gravatt. George Gravatt was only 23 when he was sent in charge of the settlement here. He returned to Sydney, took his men, his soldiers, over to India, and unfortunately died of cholera when he was only 27. So we've got a lot to be thankful for with Mt Gravatt. It's been given his name. Now, as our Lord Mayor said, the road was built with what they called relief labour. There was no money involved. The men worked, the single man, 4 hours a fortnight. One man with a wife and one child, 1 day a week. But if he had 4 children, he was given 4 days' work, and in return, he was given little coupons to buy the necessaries of life. So that's how the road started. When they began to cut it at Shire Road, they realised the amount of rock that was there. So Mr Petty had the land on the opposite side. He very kindly donated some of it, which allowed the road to continue in the curve. So we've got a lot to be thankful for the people who built this road, starting in 1931, finished in 1933. So this is a great day. We feel justified in honouring our men. Now, the people who belong to the families, would you put your hands up? Well, it's lovely to have you here.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, away we go.
As you can see, we've got an excellent photo there as well, which we will be positioning over near the Federation Circle.